Hey guys, so I'm getting ready to record another podcast video, and I thought before I put that one out there, I probably needed to have a discussion about my hair and how gray it is. And so I thought, you know what? I'm going to just talk about that first because it's starting to grow out because we're in quarantine. I can't go to my hairdresser. Um, tell you a little bit about my gray hair and just kind of follow up with where I'm at with it right now. I can't say that this is going to be the be all end all, but I thought, you know what? I probably better address this because I have a pretty good line of demarcation and it's going to be pretty obvious as I'm doing those videos. Here's the deal. I started going gray in my 20s. I think I was about 28 or so when it became obvious to other people. I was seeing little silver strands here and there. And my dad, who was 52 when I was born, married my mom when he was 49. He already had salt and pepper hair when they got married. And so I knew that it was probably likely I was taking after my dad and not my mom. My grandmother, who just turned 100, is just now all silver haired. My mom, who's 80, is still salt and pepper. So I knew in my 20s I was probably genetically taking after my dad in that respect, and there would be these strands. And then by the time I was in my late 20s, it was very obvious, especially in certain lights. People would make comments here and there. I was pregnant with my third at the time that these people were making comments, and so here I am fairly young, still having kids. And I didn't think a lot about it. I just kind of let it go because I didn't really want to dye it. I used to dye my hair at home. I had been blonde when I was younger. And as I got older, it got darker, and I continued to dye it blonde for a long time in high school. And then when I got married shortly after high school, I went ahead and just went dark with it, and I was okay with that. And I didn't dye it or anything. I just let it grow out dark. By the way, if you can hear, I have my windows open. It is a beautiful day. It poured and poured yesterday, and I wanted to have my windows open, so you can probably hear people driving and birds and things like that. So just ignore that because I want the windows open. Anyway, so I let it go dark, and I didn't color it for years and years. And so as it was coming in with these silver strands, I didn't color it, and it kind of started to wash me out a little bit more. It was this blondish, brownish, grayish color, and it didn't, I don't know, it wasn't great, but I really wasn't thinking about my hair at that point. I was just raising all these little kids, and I just didn't really think about it. And then after I had my my eighth child, I went to a family reunion. It was a Thanksgiving dinner, and we were talking about gray hair. And my husband by that point was starting to get some silver in the sides of his hair, and I had more than I realized I had. I had gotten used to it. I didn't really think about it. But somebody said something about my gray hair, and I can't remember how it came about, but my sister was like, well, I have gray hair too, but I dye it, I cover it. And I knew she probably had gray hair, but she's 14 years older than me, and I guess I was kind of like, oh, maybe I should go ahead and color my hair because she's 14 years older than me and she's coloring her hair. I'm so much younger than her, I should probably be coloring my hair as well. I was 36 at the time, and I thought, well, maybe I should go ahead and dye my hair. And I'd had a lot of stuff happen in my life where dyeing my hair was something that kind of felt fun and different. And I hadn't dyed my hair in years and years. I spoke with another blogger who had been dyeing her hair. I didn't realize it. She'd been dyeing her hair with this box dye that was kind of a sort of natural thing, and it was a washout one. And so I started there, and I had very long hair, and so I dyed it back to its brown. And I remember distinctly a friend of mine who is 6 years older than me saying that she was disappointed that I dyed my hair. And she would never come out and just say it like that. It was more like I was her gray-haired hero. She was hoping to go gray gracefully because I had. And I didn't realize anybody was looking at me that way, let alone her. And she is now, she's 49, and she is now growing gray gracefully. And so that kind of struck me, but I didn't want to go back. I went ahead and continued on dyeing my hair this dark brown. I tried different shades, and then about 2 years into that, it stopped working. And I was a little nervous to go to permanent hair dye, but that's what I had to do in order to get the grays covered. The semi-permanent was not working anymore. And then my husband deployed. And at that point in time, I had just had our 10th, and I was 39. And I decided that I wanted to do something really funky. I had always wanted pretty chunky streaks. And you can see that's what I have in my hair right now. I like the chunky streaks that are kind of ashy and toned down. And so I started going to a hairdresser, and with that, I also cut my hair off. The reason I cut my hair off was because my husband, when we met, I had a short bob, and my hair has grown. My hair grows really, really fast. So my hair's grown quite a bit since I last had my last haircut, but that's what I usually kept it in. I had these streaks and this short bob, and it was partly for him and partly for me. The streaks were mine, the haircut was his, and he loved it. I loved it. It was something that was enjoyable for me. I have never seen going to the salon as drudgery. The money that I spend there, yes, sometimes it's like, stab me in the heart, but it's not so bad that I'm like, oh, I think I should stop. And it never felt like that. You hear a lot of people on YouTube talk about their journey to going gray and how it was the money and it was the pain and hassle. And it's not like that for me at all. However, I was starting to have to go more often, like every 4 weeks. Well, I wasn't going every 4 weeks unless I had a speaking engagement. So I was grabbing this root cover-up spray. I actually have two because I have streaks in my hair. So the dark blonde did the best for me because my hair was blonde as its base, like an ash blonde was my base color. And then I had like a chocolate mousse was the low lights, and I don't know what the highlights were, but just a little bit lighter than my natural color. So just using this was enough to touch this up. The only thing was it was touching it up. It was a little cakey. It wasn't bad though. It didn't bother me that much. But what did bother me was that there'd be this dark line of cover up and then my chunky streaks. And I didn't really like that too much, but I lived with it for a couple of weeks, and then I would go to the salon about every 5 to 6 weeks. Which, yes, was kind of expensive, but I had gone and spent some time with another friend who was a mom of 9, and she was also probably 6 or 7 years older than me. And when she had her youngest, she was very gray-headed. She has a real olive complexion, and I thought she had this beautiful salt and pepper hair, but it was bothering her that she had this little boy and gray hair, and I imagine probably somebody had said something about her being grandma or something like that, and that really, really bothered her. And it would bother me too. I sometimes wonder if people think that our little ones, like we're grandparents to our littlest ones. I know a lot of people say I look young, but I think the gray hair freaked me out that I would no longer look young enough to have little kids. And it's not that I'm fighting being older. It's just that, well, maybe I am. Maybe I am fighting it. But on the flip side of that, I also loved having the variegated colors, the really chunky, in your face kind of funky colors in my hair that weren't like pinks and reds and stuff like that. I liked having some natural colors, but they were obviously not naturally in my hair. I liked that. I liked the little edginess to it. It just was something that felt really fun for me to be doing. And so there was that side. So yes, I probably was fighting and am fighting the aging thing on top of all of this. But then enters quarantine, COVID-19, and the whole situation where you can't go to the barbershop. I have been now 7 weeks or more. No, it's got to be more than that. More like 9 since I went to my salon. And she texted me and said, "Hey, we might be able to open back up. Do you want to grab a slot?" So basically what they're doing is they're putting people into slots, and then if they have to change that, then they move you again. But they're putting people into slots at my salon. And I said, yeah, go ahead. But the more I thought about it and the more I looked at what was coming in, the more I thought, I don't know. What if I am missing cool streaks in my hair that are naturally there? What if I'm missing some funky dark colors mixed in with some grays and silvers and whites? And what if I'm missing that because I'm covering it all up? Because I do like that. I don't want to color my hair for so long that I wake up one day and decide not to color it anymore and it's completely white. I wanted some different colors in it. And so what I'm thinking right now, and I haven't told my hairdresser yet, I'm going to text her today, is that I'm going to go ahead and grow it out. And you can see, I mean, it's pretty gray, folks. I mean, but it's kind of a silver, and it's so different. It depends on what the lighting is, whether or not it's like a really nice silver or it's just a washed out weird silver. I am going to talk to her about doing low lights in it. I still want a little sass to it. I like those darker pieces in there, and if we can kind of weave that in as I go gray, I would prefer that. I'm still a little on the fence about this, and I have watched so many YouTube videos about going gray. It's mind-boggling. I even have a little folder in YouTube on gray hair because I want to save these videos and think about it. So one of the things that they all say in those YouTube videos is, you've got to commit. I don't know if I can commit yet. But it's really, like, I'm not hating it. And that's the thing that feels different from before. And granted, I'm in a position where I either have to go get a box color and do it myself, which I'm not going to do at this point because I know that would ruin all of this. I'm not going to do that. Or I just grow it out. There's only those two choices, or I keep spraying it. Those are the only things I can do at this point because I can't go to the salon. And so in my mind, it was kind of cool to have these different streaks in there. I mean, when I pull it back, I've got like just different streaks and it really doesn't bother me. And my husband, like I said, he's going gray on the side. There's a little bit coming in up here. He's in the military, so he shaves it pretty close, but it's getting where even shaving it is not really hiding the fact that he's going gray. His dad is completely white-headed as well. So, we'd match. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I've been looking around and I see a lot of women who look, or their hair color, not necessarily that they look younger, but their hair color looks younger, way younger than their husbands. So their husbands will be completely gray, and then they've got this black hair or blanche hair where, you know, it's obviously not their original hair color. And that, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I like looking young, and my husband makes jokes about how everybody thinks that he's just the old guy and he married some young girl when actually I'm older than him. But I'm faking it. It's totally fake. The thing that I don't have an issue with is if you love it and you're not doing it because you're freaked out about having gray hair or you're freaked out about getting older, because I wish our culture did not have such a problem with growing older. I still remember back when I was starting to see gray hair. I was at a homeschool conference and there was a mom there who had completely this long silver hair. It was amazing. And I could tell by looking at her that she was either my age or even maybe a little bit younger at the time. So we were in our late 20s and maybe early 30s. And I stopped her and I said, "Your hair is absolutely gorgeous. Tell me about it." And I hear that from a lot of people, is that when you start to go gray, people want to talk about it because they wonder about their own hair. And they wonder if they could pull it off. And it's kind of this niggling. And like I said, it's this niggling in the back of my head. What if I'm missing some really cool grays? I'd like some streaks. I'd like some funkiness to it. In fact, I'm a little worried that I'm going to like the grow out process, which I know people are going to think that's crazy, but that I'm going to like the grow out process way more than the final result, because I do like the edgy, funky stuff. And then it'll all be gray and I'll be like, well, this is boring. So I do worry about that, because I do kind of like the pictures of people who are in the middle of the grow out process and it's like gray here and then it's all different colors back here. I kind of like that. So there is a little bit of me that's like, I may like this grow out, and then it's done and I'll be like, no, never mind. I don't like this anymore. And that may be when I put more low lights in or something like that, because I do like the idea of the streaks. We'll see. I don't know. But I thought I'd better address it with everyone here before it became super obvious on my videos. Nobody's going to the salon right now, but I thought it's always been fairly obvious that I dye my hair. If you look at older videos of me, you'll see what my hair used to look like. I don't know that I have any videos from when I wasn't dyeing my hair at all, but you can see the darker dye and the long hair that I had. I also have, you see in some of my videos, I also have naturally curly hair, more wavy than curly, but so some of my videos you'll see me with curly hair. And interestingly enough, when it's done curly, you don't see the gray hardly at all, but when it's straight, it is more gray. So anyway, that is just where I'm at right now. I can't say which way I'm gonna go with this, but right now I am kind of thinking that I'll just kind of keep this. I mean, it's not that bad. So anyway, hope that encourages you. I would love to hear from you about your own gray journey. I realize some of you just went gray and never dyed your hair, and that's great. But those of you especially who have dyed your hair and then have let it grow out, I would love to hear from you. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. I talk mostly about large family homeschooling and homemaking, but I imagine from here on out there'll probably be some conversations about my gray hair as well. And I just appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.